Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for WLBT Plus. My name is Kara Shirley, your digital news desk host, and it is Friday, June the 20th. I can't believe it's already June the 20th. Time has literally flown by. We're almost halfway done with the year, guys, and it seems like it just started. If you are tuning in today on our mobile app or our website, thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching on any of our social streams, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, thanks for tuning in there as well. Don't forget that you can always leave a comment, thought, question, suggestion, anything like that in the comment section on our social streams. Melissa Price says, hello, happy Friday. And she is watching from Jackson. Thank you, Miss Melissa. Anybody else tuning in on the social streams, let me know where you're watching from and if you got any big weekend plans. I do. I'm going to the Comic Con for the first time. I've never been. I don't really know what to expect. I don't think I'm dressing up, but I'm going with a friend, and I'm just excited to be able to get out of the house. So that's what's happening for me this weekend. But yeah, let me know where you're watching from and what you have going on this weekend. As far as today, outside right now, looking pretty. We got big puffy clouds and a lot of blue in the sky, a lot of sunshine. It's hot out there. We are going to have some pretty dangerous heat indices over the next few days. So you want to make sure that you are aware of the temperature and aware of that when you're outside. Make sure you're staying hydrated if you spend a lot of time outside, and make sure you're here for our first alert weather team at 2:30 today, where they're going to give you a detailed look at the forecast. Britt, hey, good afternoon, Britt from Kosciuszko, James Woods in Atlanta, Georgia, the big ATL, and Maddie says, Kara, hi, Maddie. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. I do appreciate you very, very much. Let's go ahead and get into the news. We do have some breaking news and sad news that came out this morning, where we have learned that a former chief of police with the Pearl Police Department passed away. Pearl Police made the announcement this morning that Dean Scott died last night after what they said was a battle with an ongoing health issue. Scott joined Capitol Police in 2024, and you can read more about his story at wlbt.com. But again, of course, our thoughts and our prayers are with the family of Dean Scott and the law enforcement family that have lost one of their own today. Louise is rushing. Louise is watching from Louisville. Thank you so much, Louisville, for goodness gracious. Thank you so much, Miss Louise, for watching. And Shakia is saying hello to everyone. Hello to you as well, Shakia. So this morning, if you were traveling on near I-220 and I-20, there was a very significant traffic delay this morning, and that is due to an 18-wheeler accident. So let me turn my volume down. Here we go. So this is on the I-220 ramp to I-20 westbound just before 9 o'clock this morning. So what appears to have happened is that the cab of the 18-wheeler got separated somehow from its trailer. Several agencies were on the scene to clear the area and got traffic flowing again by 10 a.m. But if you were in that area, you know, it was at some points it was a parking lot out there as the people were trying to get around. Let's see. Dixie is watching from Brandon. Hello, Miss Dixie. And then Annette says hello. And Shakia saying hello to Miss Melissa. Love that. Love that you guys just talk to each other. This is a community here. So let's I'm looking back. I got lost on my notes. Here we go. I apologize for that. Now, we do have some new details this morning about suspects who have been accused of killing a man near a Jackson Elementary School almost a month ago. So this is the third suspect in the case that you see here on your screen, Demarion Martin. He has now been arrested. So he went before a municipal court judge on May the 28th, and the judge denied Demarion bond. One of the suspects already in custody recently was granted bond. Tavorius Flowers, who is the man on the left on your screen, his bond was set at $200,000 after he was previously denied bond. And then Tamaru Blackman's bond does remain at $500,000. The three men are accused in connection with the death of Jeffrey Bolton on Hillside Drive. Jeffrey's body was found across the street from Green Elementary School. This happened again about a month ago. So, but those three are in custody now. And the teen who was accused of shooting and killing a USM football player, M.G. Daniels, has been found guilty. So, after just 2 hours yesterday, jurors found Orlando May guilty of a capital murder, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, and taking a motor vehicle. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder, plus 20 years and an additional 10 years for the conspiracy to commit armed robbery and taking the motor vehicle, respectively. So the defense ended up not calling any more witnesses to the stand for him, but he was found guilty after just 2 hours of deliberation. And coming back to Brandon, an appeals court decision ordering the Brandon Police Department to repay a man $225,000 in seized funds will be reviewed by the Mississippi Supreme Court. So the state's highest court did agree to take up the case, which was appealed by the department earlier this year. Last year, the state court of appeals ordered Brandon to repay Ray Young Chung $225,000, which was taken from him during a 2020 traffic stop along I-20. Chung, who is a California resident, said the repair money was for repairs to his truck. Authorities argued that he fit the profile of a drug courier. The state appealed the decision to the state's highest court in March, and now the state's highest court will read that case and make a verdict on it. And a Madison County man who killed a 13-year-old boy in Canton while the victim was on the phone will get a new hearing to determine whether he is mentally competent. The Mississippi Supreme Court sent Tony Clark's case back to the Madison County Circuit Court for what is called an Atkins hearing. The hearing will determine whether Clark is intellectually disabled. If so, the state could be barred, or would be barred rather, from executing him under the Eighth Amendment. Clark was sentenced to die in 2018 after he shot and killed 13-year-old Muhammad Saeed in 2014 at his family's convenience store in Canton. The court's majority says the upcoming hearing is warranted, citing affidavits from 3 different doctors. And a Jackson man who was arrested by police earlier this week has wound up in the custody of ICE. Now there is a public outcry being made for his release. Curlin Moreno Orlano, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. He's a father and a resident of Jackson that was working on gaining U.S. citizenship. He was taken into custody by Jackson police Monday for illegal dumping. Orlana was at work at the time of the arrest. He was sent to the Hinds County Jail. So families say that he was taken into ICE custody yesterday morning. Dozens came out to support the family in their time of crisis. Members of the Immigrant Alliance for Justice and Equity group spoke along with local religious leader. The group is seeking justice for Orlana by demanding his immediate release from federal custody.
Equal justice was not pertaining to this situation. And due to that injustice, it is more clear now than ever that the only person that was arrested alongside him went home that evening, and Mr. Curlin has not.
Orlana's employer, Christy Parker, was also taken into custody, but was later released. adding to the organization's concerns of this being a targeted arrest. Looking here at the comments, Maddie Holt saying, near a school. I know that was so traumatic. Maddie, I remember when that incident happened, when they ended up putting the school on lockdown for a short period of time because of the gunshots that were heard. There were parents there coming to the school trying to get their kids, but of course they were unable to because the school was on a lockdown. It was a pretty tense situation there for a little while until it was determined what had actually happened and that the school was not in danger. So, but it was a pretty scary day for those parents and I'm sure for the kids. Sandra Cagle, Sandra, how are you? Watching from Clinton off today. Says, how are you today? I love watching the updates. Thank you so much, Miss Sandra. I'm doing good today. And Georgia is watching from Clinton as well. Let's come now to a story that you've probably seen on social media going around a lot, is where a mother is demanding answers after her baby tested positive for methamphetamine following his time at a daycare. So the Mississippi Today reports that this happened in May at Little Blessings Daycare in Yazoo City. Marla Demita says that her then 9-month-old son Dean came home one day, said that he was screaming and thrashing. He was taken to Children's of Mississippi, where a drug test showed that he had meth in his system. A doctor told her that the baby ingested the substance somewhere between noon and 4 p.m., which was the time that he was at the daycare. The Department of Health did fine the daycare $50 after the incident, and the agency could not confirm whether the baby ingested methamphetamine while at the daycare, according to its investigative report. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you updates on it. And as we all know, yesterday was Juneteenth, or some call it Freedom Day in in the U.S. And it's, unfortunately, it is considered a federal holiday on the federal level, but it is not a holiday on the state level. So in the 2025 session alone, there were 10 bills filed in an attempt to make Juneteenth a state holiday. It's been a federal holiday since 2021. But if a state worker wants to celebrate that day, they have to take PTO. More than half of the state recognizes Juneteenth. It recognizes it as an observance or a holiday, but lawmakers who filed the bills to join that list in Mississippi say they never make it out of committee. Senator Derek Simmons says that he was hopeful after the flag change that the state would continue taking progressive steps.
Because we have a state statute where we recognize about 10 state holidays. And so we don't have to deal with any of the agencies being concerned with conducting the people's business and only having only 10 state holidays. My legislation will replace Confederate Memorial Day with Juneteenth, which I think is the right, not think, but I know it's the right thing to do.
The Mississippi and Alabama also celebrate Robert E. Lee's birthday, which is on the same day as Dr. Martin Luther King's. And there are also other southern states who have a day recognizing the Confederacy, but some, like Arkansas and Florida, have removed those from their official state holiday calendar. And Juneteenth celebrations did continue last night at the two Mississippi museums. The Juneteenth celebration, or Jubilee rather, Juneteenth Jubilee, featured live artistic performances, a line dancing workshop, games, and food. Visitors also had the chance to explore the museum with a special Juneteenth-themed educational guide and flash tour. And organizers say seeing people come out to events like this is a great feeling.
It's very gratifying. For me, when I was walking up the sidewalk and just seeing all of the individuals that decided to come out and celebrate Juneteenth, I just found it very, very gratifying. And it's just a reminder that there's a deep desire, there's a deep appetite for Jacksonians, for Mississippians to engage in positive activity.
The Juneteenth Jubilee was sponsored by Ingalls Shipbuilding, and dozens of observers also got to attend a Juneteenth program at the Medgar and Murray Evers Home National Monument yesterday. Tourists, families, and students from all over were given special tours, and participants took some of the time to read and learn the Evers story as an effort to celebrate Black history and culture. So those were some big things that happened. It was a kind of almost like a 2-day event here in Jackson because some of the events did get started a day early, and I hope everyone had a lot of fun. Now, moving to some exciting news in the world of medicine, there's a new injectable. It's an HIV prevention medication, and it has been approved by the FDA. So it was created by Gilead Sciences, and it's a twice a year injection. In the clinical trials, the drug nearly eliminated HIV spread among people given the injection every 6 months. The highly effective drug has inspired feverish anticipation among advocates for HIV prevention. And the hope is that the medication could accelerate the stubbornly slow decline of HIV transmission in the United States. So it's Yeztugo. I'm probably saying it wrong because who can say most prescription names correctly? But it's known by the generic name lenacapavir. Significantly more effective than the existing oral HIV prevention drug. So that is good news there. In the medical field. Before we get into more news where we're telling you about initiative that Jackson State University took and looking at our forecast, first let's hear from our sponsor at Jackson Water.
Hey Jackson, curious about our water system? Join the Jackson Water Academy to get the inside scoop on our water and sewer operations. 3 sessions, 3 months, and a whole lot of hands-on know-how. You'll even get a behind-the-scenes tour of the O.B. Curtis Water Treatment Plant. So if you're ready to dive in, head to jacksonwater.com/Water Academy or give us a ring at 601-500-5200 to apply. But hurry, spots are going fast.
And again, thanks to Jackson Water for sponsoring WLBT Plus, making it possible to bring you this show weekdays at 1 o'clock. Let's look at our current temperatures outside right now, sitting pretty hot out there in the upper 80s, low 90s, or right around 90 out there. I'm sure the heat indices is much higher than that. Our current radar does show a little bit of rain up in Attala County, a spot or two in Mitt and Franklin County, but no widespread scattered showers. Does that even make sense? I don't think it does, but no showers elsewhere. If we look at over the next 12 hours, you can see where our rain chances do go down to 0% in the overnight hours. And for the next 7 days, it's looking hot and looking sunny with a little bit of chance of rain every day. So make sure you're here at 2:30 for our First Alert weather team, as they will be able to give you the details on your forecast. Now, Jackson State University students are making a positive impact in their community by helping senior residents feel more safe and secure. JSU's Office of Community Engagement partnered with the Pecan Tree Park Neighborhood Association to provide 150 Jackson residents with free Ring doorbells. This was made possible by the Home Depot Retool Your School grant for $50,000. 5 students helped distribute and set up those doorbells for residents age 65 and older living within a 10-mile radius of the university. One student says he is happy to make a difference for so many people.
They were very appreciative. A lot of them expressed concerns about safety and security, and they told us that these devices are going to be really helpful. It made them feel more secure and safer in their communities.
Both residents and students hope that projects like this continue in the future. I think it is an awesome thing because they really need to, the more cameras you have out there to catch those that may be doing wrong, the more chance there are for them to be arrested and to be taken into custody and getting crime off the street. Mike Magazine says, hello from Greenville. Hello, ma'am. Hello, Miss Angela. How are you doing today? And see where Maddie says she went outside without her shoes on and burned her foot. I almost burned it off. It's too hot already. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Angela with the Mike Magazine saying temperatures seem to be worse than last year this time around. It's just hot. Sometimes it just gets where it's just hot. Like it's just hot. That's all it is. All there is to it. And it's only going to get hotter because this is Mississippi and it is summertime. Yay. So the Mississippi Department of Education has approved the elimination of a state test that was a graduation requirement for high school students. Yesterday, the board voted 8-1 to eliminate the state's U.S. history test as a graduation requirement. It's now effective for the 2025-2026 school year. The test was once an assessment Mississippi high school students had to pass in order to graduate, but it's not anymore. However, all students will still be required to take and pass the U.S. history course in order to qualify for graduation.
Well, we made the recommendation to the board and we're pleased that they move forward with the elimination because we do think that students can focus on those end of course requirements in ELA and math and science moving forward and at least remove the burden of an assessment that is not required currently in federal or state law.
So state assessments in Algebra 1, Biology, and English Language Arts will continue to be administered and remain a graduation requirement. Britt says, that's crazy. I took the class and the test in high school. And Maddie says that her daughter says they could have kept history and got rid of algebra. I am right there with your daughter, Maddie. I do not math. I do not math well at all. At least they still have to learn it. They still have to pass the class in order to qualify for graduation. Passing the state assessment test is not required, but they do have to at least pass the class to qualify for graduation. So the only time will tell how this works out. There is that old saying that says if history is doomed to repeat itself. If you don't learn about history, you don't learn the history of the world you live in, it can be doomed to repeat itself. So at least they still have to learn it, right? All right, guys. Well, that's going to be the end of today's WLBT Plus. My name is Kara Shirley. You know what my name is. And I will be back on Monday. I guess maybe my brain is getting a little Friday in it and it's getting ahead of itself. But I will be back Monday. I hope that you all have a great weekend. Make sure you're back at 2:30 for the First Alert Weather Team, as they will give you a look at your forecast for the weekend and beyond. And then, of course, our newscast today. So you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.